Okay, guys, sorry it's been a while since I've recorded a video. I thought today I would talk about how to deal with in Xero deposits that you receive from your tenants. So when you start up a tenancy, the deposit you receive, which you then have to protect, and how you deal with the transaction when you receive it from a tenant, and also when you pay it into one of the registered providers, such as MyDeposits. This is a question I get asked quite a lot, so hopefully this video will make it nice and clear for you. So you're going to go into your Xero homepage where I'm at now. So I'm on a demo company. But yeah, this is the kind of main page in Xero. We're going to then click into reconcile transactions. And just see we've got two new transactions you can see here. So on 21st of December, on the 21st of September, we had £1,000 received from T Smith, who, let's say, that's one of our tenants. The reference there is the tenancy deposit. So the start of tenancy, they've paid us a deposit, which we then need to protect in one of the registered schemes. If you use a letting agent, they may do this for you, but this is more aimed at those personnel, those landlords who look to self-manage their property portfolios. Okay, so T Smith, we've got a transaction received then for £1,000. And you can see we've got a corresponding transaction there. We've paid that same £1,000 because we're good landlords and do what we're supposed to do, abide by the rules. We've deposited that deposit in a registered provider, so in this case, MyDeposits. So we've basically got two corresponding transactions for the same amount, which is correct. And we now just need to know how to process them in Xero. So the easiest thing to do is just to have set up two bespoke accounts in the chart of accounts for Xero for these deposits. That's going to make it really easy to track. And so I'm going to show you how to do that now. So we're going to scroll to the top. And we're going to go on to accounting, chart of accounts. Okay, so the first one we're going to do then is for the deposits that we've received. Okay, so we're going to go into liabilities. And then we're going to basically look through our chart of accounts. We're going to find a 3-digit code, which is free. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to go with 921. It might be slightly different for yours. So I'm going to click Add Account. Click Account Type then. I'm going to go for a liability down at the bottom there. Now we're going to click the relevant 3-digit code that we thought of. So in my case, I'm going to use 921. It might be different for yours. And we're going to use a name which is really easiest for us to know. So basically, just before I go on, it's basically a deposit that's received from a tenant. It's treated as a liability because essentially you haven't been paid that. It's not rent that you've received. It's a deposit, and you owe that money back to a tenant, assuming they abide by the rules of the AST that's shown on the tenancy agreement. So it's not treated like as an income. It's treated that you're basically holding the money almost on behalf of the tenant. So that's why it's treated as a liability. So a liability is something which your business and your property portfolio is a business. It's money which your business owes, and so it's treated as a liability. Okay, so once we've set up then this account, we're going to click Save. And now we're going to go into Assets. So now we're going to set up a similar account, but this is for the tenants' deposits that we've registered with one of the tenancy deposit protection schemes, such as MyDeposits. So we're going to again look through our different accounting codes. We're going to find a spare 3-digit number which hasn't been used yet. So I'm going to go for 772 for deposits. So I'm going to click Add Account. Account type then. This is going to be assets. So we're just going to look through which one we're going to use. Let's go with a non-current asset. code I'm going to use then, as if in my case, it's going to be 772. Yours might be slightly different. I'm going to call this tenants deposits protected in scheme. You can call it slightly different, but as long as it's something you know what it is, and you just need to make sure you don't get mixed up between this one and the other one we set up. So one's for deposits we've received from our tenants, and the other one is for deposits which we've then protected. And so the difference is this is treated as an asset. So basically, the tenancy deposit provider holding the money on behalf, or actually of the tenant, but the money is basically almost treated like it's owed back to our company, and then the company then in turn owes the money to the tenant, and that's why you've got these two accounts. So if we set up this non-current asset 772 and click save. Cool, so we've now got our two accounts. So what we're going to do now is go back to Xero, the dashboard. Okay, then we're going to go back to our transactions. So we've got reconcile. And then we go scroll down to the bottom. Okay, so we've got the two different transactions we saw before. So let's just enter them as in manual. So let's go with T Smith as the contact, because that's the tenant's name. And then what is, and it's asking us which accounting code. And we've got this one we set up, remember, 921, deposits received from tenants. So we need to make sure we can differentiate between the two different accounts we set up. This is the one for deposits received from tenants. And we can put in a bit of detail here. So deposit for, name of property, put the address in there so you can remember going forward. Make sure I spell that correct. Then click OK. Then for the next transaction, we're going to do similar. So we're going to put, in this case, MyDeposits. New contact, and then again, this one we're going to use the 772 deposits protected in relevant scheme, the 772. Again, put on the information, so put a bit of a description so you can remember going forward what it is. So deposit for name of property. Then click OK. Okay, so what we'll do now is we'll just take you over to the balance sheet, and you can just see, because that's these transactions, because we'll treat them as liabilities and assets. They don't go into the profit and loss, they go into the balance sheet. The balance sheet shows what the company owns and what it owes, and so that's why the deposits go into the balance sheet rather than the profit loss. It's not income you've received, it's rather they're assets and liabilities. So let's go to the balance sheet now. And what we can see there, we've got two different transactions now. So I'll just highlight them so you can see. Got the first one, we might probably move around the order of where these are, but you've got tenants deposits protected in the scheme, so that's treated as an asset. And then deposits received from tenants, that's treated as a liability, so something the company owes. And what's going to happen is, if that deposit is then paid back to the tenant, then it's straightforward enough. You'll receive a transaction back from the deposit scheme, and you'll just tag that to the relevant accounting code. And then the same for paying it back to the tenant. You'll then tag it to the relevant code, and then eventually it will basically empty out both of the two accounts. The only kind of slight difference might be if, as quite often happens, if a deposit, if say a tenant causes some damage to the property and then they don't get all their deposit back, what's actually happens then is the deposit is treated as rental income at that point, the amount that you receive, rather than as a deposit. And then you'd have to the deposit received back from the deposit scheme, and it's going to go to you to pay for damage, is treated as rental income then. I can maybe do another video of that in the future. But anyway, I hope that was useful. That just gives you an overview of how to treat deposit schemes, how to treat deposits received from tenants and paid to deposit protection schemes in Xero. Thanks.